Welcome to another episode of the WeakLEE Podcast. My guest here tonight is Arielle. Somebody I've been knowing for a few years. I've grown close with her, and we're going to talk about abusive relationships, something that I know a lot of people can relate to. So Arielle, tell the people about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is Arielle. I am born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, to my parents, Natalie and Roger. And they were originally married, divorced at a young age. I was probably about 4 when everything was finalized, but it had been going on for a while. This was back in the 90s. My father has since remarried and has another daughter by marriage, and my mother as well remarried, and she gained 3 children from marriage and then had my brother, the baby, as well. So it's a bit of us. It's 4 boys and a girl, myself on my mom and stepdad's side, and then my dad has just me and then a bonus daughter. Coming up, being raised in New Orleans, from the 7th Ward of New Orleans, I was definitely affected greatly by the relationships, my familial relationships. So back in 2004, one of the earliest funerals that I can recall was Crystal Barry. She was the mother of Missy Maya. That's my cousin. But she was older, my mom's age, so I always related to her as my aunt. Her boyfriend murdered her by gun and eventually killed himself.
Right after that same day?
Probably so this was all over the news. They had a standoff, and it was 3 days after she was murdered. Like the SWAT was outside his house on the news in New Orleans. And they said they heard a gunshot and it was him who killed himself in his mom's yard. So that was life-changing. I was probably about 10 at the time. It was devastating.
Right.
This was one of the aunts. Just more background about myself. We come from a big family. My great-grandmother has 13 kids. All of her kids have 3 kids or more. And prior to Katrina, we all lived in about a 1 to 2 mile radius of each other. So I had great-grandma next door, grandma next door, auntie, cousin. My grandma really kind of bought the block. So it was like that.
So how was it for you being a part of your dad remarrying and your mom remarrying?
I was troubled. I think anybody who know me, truly know me, know that I was troubled. I remember getting out. My grandmother, she was wealthy and she created legacy wealth for her family. She wanted all of her grandkids to go to private school, and that was a thing. So back in the 90s, I was in Cabrini Elementary. I would fight, and I would mostly have fight with boys as in the 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. By the time we was having 6th grade graduation, I was getting put out for having a fight with 2 boys, Harry and Luke.
They remember their name?
No, they remember me. It's funny because we just went through this. I was surprised that we related on remembering, your grandfather. I was surprised that he remembered me. So they remember me, and it's kind of I didn't even finish 8th grade with them because I got put out. I was given options. During the time, it was my behavior, and the Catholic schools would keep you back a grade if your behavior was failure throughout the year, and I was living like that.
Right.
So they wanted to keep me back, and my mom was like, it don't make sense. You have the grades, you don't need to get kept back. But it was a prominent school. Everybody wanted their children to go to Cabrini. Everybody, at least from the 7th Ward, that was a nice thing. That was a blessing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It taught me a lot. It showed me a lot because we're dealing with the Catholic Archdiocese. And then I'm a Black female from the 7th Ward of New Orleans. Right. I have a Passon Blanc friend, my best friend from 2nd grade, passed for white. And then my other best friend from 2nd grade, she's Nigerian, straight Nigerian. So I was not Black enough for, and I wasn't, I'm not Passon Blanc.
Right.
But then I have a family where majority of them are Passon Blanc. And then the other half of them look like Haitians. And I experienced colorism. You know, like my dad's mom, she's dark. And I would wonder why I could see the unspoken like difference that my mom's family would have towards my dad's family. Mm-hmm. And we don't have to talk about it, you know, but now since I've lived through it, I've grown through it, and there's a word for it. Colorism is a real thing. Right. I understand it now. It's deeper, you know.
So how was your like custody agreement with your parents?
My mom took me full time. My dad eventually, you know, got on child support, and he was probably traumatized by it as well, because I feel like they both wanted the same thing. They wanted love and they wanted a family. And I was actually I was a rainbow child. So that means that my mom had multiple births prior to me, and the babies didn't make it. Mm-hmm. And actually, after I was born, she had another baby. And my little sister, Nadia, she passed away at about 3 months with issues with her colon as a baby. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Honestly, she was less than 3 weeks. So we didn't even take her home type thing. And then my little brother came. So I'm really a blessing. I'm definitely a rainbow child. They have that term, and I know that's the truth, because my 2 older brothers would be juniors. Neither of them made it, but they were born, you know, physically. So I know my mama went through a lot of trauma, a lot of, you know, she and my father actually ended up being, you know, abusive to one another, verbally, physically at some points, I'm sure. And then my first relationship right in high school, I chose right. Really. We were abusive to one another. But both of our parents had been in abusive relationships.
So that's where you feel that come from?
Definitely. Especially because I didn't have those conversations at home. Right. My mom and dad wasn't having sit-downs with me about red flags. Mm-hmm. They wasn't having sit-downs with me about their experiences. Right. So to go deeper in that, when you told me about this change of topic, it hit home, because I had to start processing what I was doing. Mm-hmm. In the midst of that, I was planning for my nephew's. So he is not my biological nephew. I have a cousin who was raised like my sister, and June 6th will make 4 years that she, which was 34, and then my godson, who was 7 months, was murdered by his dad.
So there's a lot of murders.
But it's a lot of toxicity. Right. Let's start there. And so as a woman, I'm going to be a spokesperson for my family. Like, we not all bad. Yeah. But we definitely, females and males both have toxic traits in my family. And I just know that, like, I can be an antagonist. Right. I know well of what I do, what I can do, and not the best quality and, the best parts of me. Right. So I could unfortunately see, I remember when they told me about how Crystal died, it was like she had to have the last word. My family thought that was a joke. They joked about that for a long time. Like, knowing Crystal, she just had to have the last word.
Because they know that's how they are.
But that's not cute. Right.
But the fact they know that they got to have the last word, that's why they already knew.
So I relate to that now as an adult, as a grown woman. I'm like, but not no more. Right. I value and cherish life. I know that my friends and my family love me. And as a woman, to be on the side of a gun, mm-hmm. or to be on the opposite side. Domestic violence go both ways. Right. It could be me protecting myself or me hurting and harming, my loved one or the person who I say I love and I care about. Right. It's a long spectrum.
So when people abuse you, do they really love you?
The conversation just came up and the question was asked the same way. How did I respond?
Respond from the heart.
It's not about the abuse. It's not about the person like abusing you and having a difficult time loving you. A lot of times, and probably 10 times out of 10, I will say that person have an issue with loving themselves. Mm-hmm. So to love somebody truly, you can't do that if you don't love yourself. Exactly. So yes, somebody can have an idea of, we also mistaken love and lust for, like today's society, we use love in a form of not really what it means. Mm-hmm. Like we sleep together every night. Right. I wake up and cook for you. I wash your clothes. I'm taking your children to school. That don't equate to love. Those are acts of kindness. Right. but that don't mean that it's love. And we get lost in that a lot. Me, myself, I could say, because I've taken on all of these responsibilities. And I think that's love because I'm taking a burden off of you.
Right.
But that don't equate to love.
But love is always doing things when you don't expect to, or when you're not asked to, or when somebody's not doing something for you to do it.
I feel like love is the initiative. It starts with a relationship, and not a relationship of boyfriend and girlfriend, but love is like my friendships. I love my friends, and it's like I'm OD, using that term, OD about relationships. Like with a boyfriend, my boyfriend. I'm like that. But with friendships,
right,
I'm like that.
You're supposed to be.
So my point is, like, to truly love a friend, you have to have a connection, you know, like, not like, oh, we connect on this, but you have to have a purpose, like the feel, you know, it don't matter really how y'all connect. Right. It's just about, I want to see what's best for you at all times. Yeah. I'm really going to correct you. I'm not going to have you out here slacking and going left. Like,
it's not about trying to get what you get out of that person.
Yeah, it's always like growth.
We're going to grow together.
Right. We have to.
I'm going to support you and support me.
We have to.
I ain't going to just use you because I know what you could do for me.
It's a must.
Yeah. Gotta be. But back to what the whole abuse and do people really love you, that comes with people being miserable. There's a lot of people miserable but don't want to think or know or try to find out or seek that they're really upset.
I'm a firm believer in God. And I just really believe that misery is a form of worry.
Yeah.
And I don't really believe in worry. Like, somebody called me like, oh, you got to drive 14 hours. I was just checking. I was worried.
For what?
Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
Like, call God. Like, call him, you know, because I'm on a roll with him. He in a car with me. I'm good. But the worry, it becomes like intoxicating. People literally become sick from worrying. And I think it's because, I don't want to use the word guilty, but guilt about not doing the work that they need to do to be who they want to be or need to be, who they called to be. And so it causes a conflict because we know that we called to do other things. And the misery is behind, they don't want to change. They don't want to do the work to make the change. So everybody get it now.
Exactly.
You know, it's like we really can't be nice to anyone because we so upset really with ourselves. You know, I feel like it started there.
Yeah,
it started with that.
But a lot of people really scared of love. They scared of somebody really coming into your life and changing them. Because in the back of people's head, the fact that all we see is negative things, they scared of good things happening to them. So when a good thing comes across you, you don't know what to do with it.
Okay.
And you don't know how to handle it. So therefore, you're going to become toxic and try to figure out a way to get out of it because you're scared to really dig deep and grow and change yourself.
I always say that dating is not a broke man's sport.
Yeah, it's not. Because it's hard.
Not just broke financially. I mean, like, spiritually.
Yeah.
I mean, like, holy. You have to be a whole person to date. And we could start right there. People not coming whole.
But that's why it's so easy for people to deal with people who's unhealed.
Yeah.
Because you don't got to put in no work. I can do the bare minimum. As long as I'm opening the door for you, we going out to have a drink, you perfectly fine. I can get whatever I want from you. But at the end of the day, once I start tapping into you and really be like, well, what you really want to do with yourself?
All right, but that's
why
what we
you acting like this?
Because we need standards.
Yeah.
And so, to be honest, abusive relationships come from unhealthy self-relationships.
Mm-hmm. Because you ain't happy with yourself, then you're going to be chaotic.
Right. So.
Look, I'm laughing at my mom. So, do people treat you how they are?
Definitely. I feel like even myself, I'm a mirror image. And everything I do to you, it's a reflection.
Yeah.
Because I told you if I ever got on your podcast, I was gonna always bring it back to God. That's really how I want to walk. I want to always shine my light so that the next person could catch this light. And you know, it's not even for me. It's not even for my glorification. It's really because like we really all in this together. So the abuser, the victim, you know, is deep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like people definitely treat you how they are because it go back to not being, if I ain't washing my own hands correctly, how can I, you know, be nurturing enough to help you get yours right? Yeah. You can't.
Right.
It's the speck in my own eye first, you know. So even on my good days and my bad days, but when you learn to be selfless, really, and I feel like that's when you prepare for a relationship. Mm-hmm. Not selfless to the point where you neglecting yourself, but selfless to the point where I'm already taken care of.
Right.
I'm taken care of to the best of my ability, and now I'm prepared to be able to bring to you what you can multiply and make fruitful. Mm-hmm. I'm not coming to you in lack. I've already really closed all the other doors. Like, you had a few conversations where you was like, somebody always gonna have a situation. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I can't agree because I'm sound on certain things. And when it's time for me to have self-time, it's no access to me.
Right. It's your time.
Yeah, and people will tell you, like, men in general, like
but
friends.
But that gotta be okay.
It has to be.
Because at the end of the day, before you came to my life, I still was me.
Facts.
I still was doing my own thing.
But let's be real. We talking about a generation right now where nobody's alone.
That's because nobody trusts nobody.
They don't trust themselves.
Exactly. Because they know they're liars. They know that they're miserable.
Let's talk about it. It's different. That's different.
For real. People really know I'm a liar. I know that I can't trust you because I don't trust myself.
I've heard people say that. Like, I've said that in times. I try to definitely be more positive and forward thinking with my words, especially with this power of the tongue, and you know, but people will say, I've heard that, and I've probably said this a few times, like, right, that's bad. You know, we already putting ourselves to, but it's because I knew what I was doing. I knew.
At the same time, it's bigger than cheating though too.
Definitely.
Because if you know that deep down you ain't right, and if you know that, okay, I'm lying about this, so this person probably lying about that, you automatically gonna think, oh, they lying too. You
know how many people tell me I don't trust people? Like, just in the past 48 hours, traveling to New Orleans, I tell a friend, man, I ain't even making it in New Orleans yet. And I got this person telling me they need, you know, I'm like, I'm not even home yet.
Right.
And I tell my friend what's going on with this one in particular situation. And it was somebody asking for a favor. That girl told me, I'm like, friend, I don't know. I'm like, should I, you know, I'm like, I don't know what to do. She told me, she said, I don't trust people. She's lying. This person is lying. I'm like, like, why would she lie? Like, the lie was exclusive. Why would she go that far to tell me?
You'd be surprised.
People lie like that. But my friend was like, and she kind of started making me see that, but I really think of the things above. To be honest, I feel like even when it come down to somebody stealing from me, like, they needed it more than me. That's how I look at it. And I just be like, you know, go on ahead about my business. Because why was I slipping? I had to be slipping for you to get me.
Right.
But they needed it more than me. That's the only way I could see possible that God will let them get me. But giving yourself grace, I too much don't give other people grace no more. Why? I feel like that's for God to get them.
Why?
Because I've been graceful. And I am a human, and I'm understanding. Probably one of the most understanding people. Like, I can meet you on every level. And it's not as fortunate, you know, like, I'm just saying, I could meet you on every level.
Right.
So with that being said, I have to set a standard for myself. Because am I really going to go that low to meet you on your level? You know what I'm saying? So now it's certain places where I'm not willing to go.
Right.
But it set a higher standard. So now I'm cutting people around, you know, like trimming edges and everywhere. They can't have access.
Right.
So.
Because now you're really starting to, you treat people how you are. So once you see people not moving how you know you need them to around you, that's when you start separating yourself.
We need reciprocation.
Right. And if you can't reciprocate, you gotta go.
I love big and loud. You know how boring that's going to be of a lifetime to shower you with all my love language? I'm an all love language type of person.
Right.
I'm giving you all this, and would you just gave me gifts? Because we could go, you know, it's so many people be nothing. So one way.
And people fail to realize gifts is not nothing. at all. But that's what men fail at. They think, oh, I could buy her something and shut her
Not just
up.
men. I'm gonna say, look,
women,
as a
women
woman,
be tricking too. I know.
Listen, but I'm not saying on a trick level. I'm saying women will accept they. It's giving Tina Turner.
But at the end of the day, they're doing that because they're miserable.
No, I feel like, yeah, it is. And I feel like I don't want to use miserable anymore because I really don't like that word in my vocabulary. I'm going to say unhealthy.
Yeah,
they're not healed.
Yeah.
They're not healed.
Because it's easy for a man to just buy somebody something and then they be like, all right, I'm
But
good
a woman
now.
to think that's love. A woman to take that and be like...
But that's about what they've been through too.
Just imagine a female who really never had nothing. Let's go. We're going to take it back to time. The tale is old as time.
Nothing, if somebody buy you something, you're going to be perfectly fine.
The tale is old as time.
But that's still the bare minimum.
Not a door open for you to do whatever, treat me however.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? Because really what you giving me, I never had.
Exactly.
I want it. I desire it.
So now you feel like you're good. But for how long?
They gonna make it a lifestyle.
No.
Let's be what?
You make it a lifestyle, but at the end of the day, you know deep down you that's
women gonna work.
Away.
They're gonna put on their shades.
Yeah.
They're gonna go to the functions. They're gonna put makeup on.
And be pissed.
No, they're gonna put on the try to smile, busty look.
Yeah, pissed.
She ain't really mad. She got the Chanel bag. That's mad. Man, that's because that's see, and it come back to this control. You know what I'm saying? It's the control. You have to be sure in yourself. I feel like dating is a very serious situation. If you're not prepared, if you don't know yourself, a lot of people don't know themselves. So that's why we have abusive relationships.
And they don't want to grow to find themselves.
Of course not. That take a lot of work.
Exactly. And people don't want work. They like easy.
It's called the path of least resistance. If it causes resistance, I'm breaking a sweat. I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but see, my thing was I learned the hard way and I always went the long route. My dad used to tell me, I did these things so you don't have to go through them. So you don't have to experience. That was your life. If you experienced it, who are you to tell me I shouldn't experience it? I know that sounds crazy, but I was an unhealed young woman and I didn't have...
But that's not just you though, that's everybody. We don't listen to our parents. That's our problem. They telling us because they've been through it already. But we like, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna find out more on my own. But if we really listen to our parents, a lot of things that we go through, we wouldn't be going through.
Right.
Because I know I can say that for sure. Like if I would listen to my daddy, everything that's happened to me these past 5 years never would have happened.
So
for real.
Why you feel like it's gonna always be like that with kids? Because look, I feel like my day will come. I plan to. Also, I don't have kids. I didn't mention that.
Right.
You probably 9 times out of 10 people see me. I feel like men approach me
because you don't have kids,
thinking I have kids. Like I'm just telling you. Like I feel like that. I feel like men are like they. I've had conversations.
You don't have kids though too.
How do they know that? I mean, first I'm a woman, and I'm just trying to tell you, brother, my brother. Like I know, you know what I'm saying. I've kind of been around the block. So I'm saying that when people approach me, I'm getting it all out you. Like if you can't keep up with a conversation, you can't stay around me because I'm about to.
How long was you like that? When did that start?
So the context, my one relationship that was right in high school, it lasted for about 10 years. I'm a serial monogamist. I love relationships. I love. And after he and I separated, I dated, not right after, but a few months, going into a year, I took some time. I was on my self-healing journey then. Was working out, going to City Park. All the trees were seeing me. I was a real tree hugger. I'm telling you, I had this, because it was, I needed something to do with my time. I had a 10-year relationship. 17 years old, my mom gave us a house.
Right.
It was basically like, if you have kids, y'all straight. You ain't gonna need nowhere to stay. You gotta, and I'm just being that. So that's what I'm saying. That's the kind of lifestyle, even to this day. My mama want babies like a dog. I'm like, I want marriage. And it's to the point where we bicker about it because it's like, she's like, grandbabies. And I'm like, I don't even bring to her the marriage part anymore because it's like she don't even see that. But right.
But let me tell you something.
Okay.
About the whole marriage thing. Just because you're married don't mean you're married. So you should look for the foundation and somebody who's really worthy.
Oh no, that's how it's. Yeah.
Not just be like, oh, well, I'll wait till I get married. Then nah, don't even do that. I feel
like
yourself.
that 1,000%. But what I will say is because of my upbringing and the separation, it was hard. My mom, it was a lot of lonely nights watching her, be lonely and unhealed, for a while. And till this day, and it's because I know she don't talk about it's certain things. I'll have conversations with her. She just gonna black out in the middle of the conversation. She just gonna stop talking.
Yeah,
in my face. That's how deep it is. And we've been through counseling. We buried my stepdad June. This month is gonna make a year, so it's very fresh. Mm-hmm. And they have been together for about 26 years. But it was hard. It's a healing process, but I want to heal.
Right.
I want a family. I want to be able to be a healed parent and have a partner who's going to help me to lay the foundation. So when I'm dating, it's yeses and nos being checked off for real. Mm-hmm. Like, men like the fact that I don't have kids. I like that fact too. Men without kids, people tell me all the time, you're not gonna meet or you want to date somebody who don't have kids. Don't tell me that because I'm gonna go find them. And look, I got a little roster just in case anybody's looking. So, because we all have the wants, and people definitely have a pessimistic outlook to be like, it's not too many people out here who don't have kids, and you're not gonna be able to find them. My dad just was telling me
that's them speaking. They're referring to you.
Yeah, it's okay. I block all that.
That's all that's about. Mm-hmm. They don't feel that way. But
it's work. Yeah. That means I can't fall for every time John and Barry when they approach me, Yeah. I can't just accept them when they approach, but they're chivalrous. I'll say I love a knight in shining armor. They come that way, but the devil study you for real. Mm-hmm. He know what you like, he know what you want, and he know what you're aiming for. So you could get that package, like it came to you with a bow on it. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do the research, if you really don't pay attention, we pay attention to the red flags. We joke about it. We send it to our friends, girl, red flag, and still go for the touchdown. And don't stop.
What you pay for in there?
I think it's my sign to leave that girl alone. That was it right there, dog.
You should have been
that. I think that was my son.
You gotta love yourself.
That's crazy.
And that's another thing.
You have to.
But
it make it hard. I make it hard for a man, and I don't mean to do that, but I love myself. My self-love is hard to I don't feel bad for nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because I want this for everybody. Like, when I broke into this, when I started giving myself that time or that quiet space, waking up in this quiet, not calling nobody, praying before I talk to people, it changed me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go back.
And it was just one thing I really started paying attention to myself. When I had my little separation moment, mm-hmm. I really had a person tell me, when you healed, you going to leave me alone.
Ooh.
And when she told me that, I really had to open my eyes. Because it's like, I am in a spot, I'm really am miserable right now. I'm really down right now. And that is why I'm dealing with you. But the fact that she knew that and told me that, I was like, I really had to.
Because we be knowing.
I don't love myself. That's why I'm still dealing with you. Because I don't. But, once I got out of that, that's where it is. But that's why people start blaming you over time when you don't leave when you're supposed to.
Oh, yeah. I don't even want, the guilt on my... I'm just like, I could tell y'all, right, here's a story. So, I got a mouth on me. I do. I sure do. But I definitely know that's not cute all the time. And it's not safe all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm a young Black woman. So I'm like, my trauma that I'm still working on healing from, it literally goes all the way back to being a young girl from New Orleans, living in Louisiana, traveling from Mississippi, Alabama, it was traumatizing to go through small towns and be treated or looked at a certain way. And I'm an empath. I feel like you could look at me, I might feel your thoughts or something. I don't know how deep
but
it
you
goes.
Feel something.
I think it's the genuineness. If you genuine and you approach me, I'm at ease. But otherwise, I start getting, nervous and timid, like around other, because energy don't lie. So you may not try to put that out there, but I ask God for discernment. Right. And you got to be careful what you ask for.
That's the key.
Because then you start ignoring them red flags,
Especially when you just know what you want and where you're trying to go.
We all want companionship, though. I say that all the time. We all want love. And so sometimes you got to see, y'all didn't look at relationships sometimes and be like, she with him, he with her. Not just on a physical level, but on a character level, on a, like, you talk like that and you talking to him, or this is your business and your job and you with her, because we like comfortability. And as long as they got the song, we from New Orleans, so I ain't going, it could go deep. What they be saying, as long as he come home and all that, like, as long as I see him in my bed every night. What did you just say? Serious.
But that's because people are scared and don't understand.
Nah, they don't love this though.
You could leave and still find somebody better.
Leave.
Because we was raised, but people don't leave because they're so comfortable. As a female,
as a lover, you know what leaving do? But
what?
I'm be crying out I'm not gonna have no stomach by the time I'm done crying. Like, listen, I'm not gonna. I'm telling you.
But look, why people say it's easier to leave then? Because they lie. The hardest thing is to leave. The hardest thing is to leave. The easiest thing is to stay.
It's so hard to leave.
Because when you leave, you gotta go with the whole, I'm used to this person, they ain't around me no more. What to do next? How I'm about to move? I really gotta figure out what's next for me.
Would it take 30 days to break a habit and start a new habit? Okay, it take 30 days to break a habit. And then to replace, you can't just break the habit.
Yeah.
You have to replace it. You know what people do? They go replace it with somebody else. If we talking about a person being a habit, okay, he gone. Or I'm outside. About that, I can get another one with. And what Soldier said, every one that I lose, I got at least, not just one, I have to get two more at least. Yeah. And I'm you know what? I know my work now, and it takes, so I might go get 3. So, and then but that part, that's a lot of work. And I never been that kind of female. I was young, and I remember we were young, like in the 8th grade. And I had a friend, and she had multiple boyfriends, and I was just like, I thought it was cool, but because we don't love the same. So when I tried to do it, and this was in my later years, I was exhausted because I'm really pouring life. I'm giving life. I feel like that's my job. I'm not surface with nothing that I do. It's so hard for me to have surface friendships and relationships because I love too hard. That's something I have to work on. And I feel like I've gotten myself to a space where, I could say no now. I didn't lost a lot of them. Not because I'm saying no.
Right.
That's not like you. You don't tell us no. But I have to I gotta love you because you're here. And I've allowed you to stay here.
But I love myself more. You got to.
You have to.
But that goes back where you came from. That's why you like that. You have the heart that you have because you seen what you seen. Dang. You don't want that in your life. So that's why you want better. That's why you love the way you love.
You making me see some stuff that's been here. I'm 32 years old. I'm like,
it all makes sense for real. You are the way you are for a reason.
Right.
And that's your story.
Yeah.
So with that being said.
Okay.
What story you want to share? You could cry. My brother did.
I know. I saw y'all. I didn't watch the we on the next. I didn't see the episodes before this. So I am currently right now like neck deep under the water. Not really under the water, but it's a blessing. I'm celebrating for my nephew's graduation. So I told you about my sister who was murdered. This murder occurred in the midst of me leaving a travel assignment, coming back home to be with her. We studying to, you know, change our careers. We got big plans, big business goals. Like we looking for big contracts and big contractors, you know?
Right.
And the abuse was so real at the time. I even stopped talking to her at one point because it was like, I couldn't do nothing. You don't want to listen. You're not listening. And, you know, I love you too much and I'm ready to fight. You know what I'm saying? But this man don't love me like he love you. So he might get me right here and right now because I didn't already step my boundary over, you know? And I got the phone call that my sister was murdered at like 4 a.m. St. Louis time. I was in Missouri. And I got the phone call because we have a very big family. And if the wrong person would have called with it, it would have been all over everywhere. And her father wasn't aware, you know? So my aunt called me and was like, I need you to, when she called me, I knew. And the night before, I FaceTimed my sister and my godson. And it was random. I started screenshotting them. Randomly. Like we wasn't together. Right. She had a messy ponytail and she looked like she had been crying, like, you know, but I saw my little baby and I was like, babe, you know, I just started screenshotting. And when I look back at the picture, I had it on my background for my laptop for the longest because it was just the last moments I had with them. But when I look back at it, I took it off because really it was so sad. Like I saw my sister, she wasn't herself. Right. Like the pictures, it wasn't her. It was like she was diminished. But she was still alive at the time. The story that I want to share is really roundabout taking care of the youth. Because like I said, my nephew, he's 17. This is her oldest son. He was 14 at the time. He saved himself and his younger brother from being murdered as well because the father of the baby was trying to kill the whole house. And so I feel like that's one of my biggest hurts is that they know that this man tried to kill them, right. You know, and the baby at the time was 10. He witnessed the murder. So he basically said that the guy stood over her with a gun and said, say bye, B. And he was like, the last thing he saw was his mom's eyes pop out her head. Like, So my mission after that was 1,000% to be with them, to take, like, we need counseling. We need therapy. You see what I'm saying? Because they have to talk. They have to get this out. They can't, and they're young men. Like, not just that, like, my heart is big for Black men in general. Right. Even like, you know, the murderer, he ended up killing himself. Like, mental health is real. Yeah. You know, he was Black. And after he killed them all, he killed her. I don't know exactly when he killed the baby, but the baby lived and suffered for a long time, hours. But he ended up dying ultimately from the gunshot wound. He killed himself. And he set them up in a bed like they was taking a family picture type. So when the police found them, that's how he found them. In the bed, that's how the police went into the room to find them.
That's crazy.
But before that, he definitely went looking around, like all the doors was kicked in. He went to the boys' room. He pulled like the cabinets off the bathroom, like looking for the boys, because he called my aunt and FaceTime her and was like, I just killed your daughter. And she was like, where are my babies? And he was like, I'm about to kill everybody. We all about to go. Right. But luckily, the oldest one, like I said, you know, he ended up saving them. So they ran to a neighbor's house. But we have to know our limits. So self-control is really like the biggest thing in an abusive relationship. Relationships won't become abusive if you know your limits. So knowing your limit is really just having control, stopping yourself. Like my mouth, man, I'm gonna make you cry for real. Like I didn't make grown men cry with my mouth, and that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? But I know I have that ability. But am I gonna use it? You know, am I going to abuse it? Because really, like, let's be real. As powerful as my mouth is to make a man cry, I could do that same thing, take my mouth and use it in a positive way and pour life into him.
Exactly.
So when I talk about...
But how many people do that?
See, but they not doing it. They speaking curses over themselves still.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that to yourself, I can't expect for you to pour life into somebody else.
Exactly.
But when we talk about the future, when we talk about kids, we talk about that kind of stuff, it get deep because when we gone, them kids gotta live and sustain.
Exactly.
And God forbid I didn't have my parents, you know, because as much as I feel like we don't have a everyday talk conversation. My friends right now, like, I blame you. You need to call your mom. You need to call your, you know. And as much as we have distance between us, I am able to be who I am and have, you know, extra oomph in my step because my parents are here.
Right.
But in a way, I feel like I don't want to blame my parents, but a lot of things that I went through, we never had conversation about abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was in an abusive relationship. My dad, whatever it was, their breaking points, they experienced them and they acted on them and they didn't use self-control.
Right.
But man, you know, something small could go far.
Yeah, all the time.
I have a family friend who, and I think that's what is going to be the biggest part about all this. The small red flags definitely going to end up big, and you never know where it'll end you, literally end you. I have my godmother, she had a niece. Her and her boyfriend had a fight. They had 4 kids. He hit her in the head because he was accustomed to doing that because he didn't want to leave bruises on her body. And she laid down after they fight and never woke up. That's big.
Right.
For something that you probably been doing for a long time. I didn't been hit in the head. I didn't have a man put his hands around my throat being like, this what you want from me? Because I antagonized him today. I just told my friend today, like, she just experienced domestic violence. Call me. As I'm going to get, you know, bring your my welcome gifts. I'm going to grab these welcome gifts. This was at like 5 o'clock. She calling me from LA. FaceTime me so I could see her face. I'm like, sis, like, I, you know. And then she ended up telling me what happened. And I'm like, you know how bad that could have been? A real quick mistake could have ended your life. Took you from your kids, put him in jail. She hit him first. I get it. I got 4 brothers. And when they come down to them, it's no talk. And it got to the point where my brothers was like, you too aggressive. They stopped coming to me about stuff because they was like, you be ready to fight men, you be ready to fight women, like, behind us. And I'm like, I wasn't protected as a child.
Right.
So I have that, I overcompensate for that for my loved ones because I don't want y'all to ever experience the things that I, you know, so I don't have to be physically aggressive, but I will be assertive and I will use my words to let someone know how serious I am about protecting my family and my friends. That right there could end me off bad because people don't like that. It's like, if you use big words.
Thinking about themselves.
No, they don't. That don't. Messy Maya is a prime example. That wasn't domestic, you know, or a relationship, but he threatened somebody with his words because he made a person feel inadequate. They got a gun and killed him from a joke. Like, let's be real. We really unsafe, but nah, I'm protected. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the reality is the mental state of people around us, that mental check, that's why these kids, like, man, kids, I harvested a lot of stuff. I held in a lot of stuff for a long time. When I got put out of school, they told my mom the only way she could return, she had to be kept back and she had to see a psychiatrist. We went to go talk to the psychiatrist. She's still my family psychiatrist to this day. She recommended that I do yoga. I was in the 7th grade. Not doing no yoga. When I moved to California in 2013, I was on a self journey by myself. It don't matter how often I talk to people, you really could try to stay connected to people over the phone, but when you out there physically, you don't have those people like shoulder to shoulder with you.
Right.
So it was a lot of stepping out on my own, and I started doing yoga. I'm a yogi now. I love yoga. It's one of my favorite ways to escape and go inward. I couldn't hear myself think. I used to have intrusive thoughts. My thoughts was over. I couldn't hear myself think my whole life. I didn't experience that quiet in my mind until I turned like 22 or 23.
Right.
Right. So you mean to tell me for 23 years I was walking up the street of New Orleans, hearing voices, hearing things in my head, and I coped with that. And I didn't tell that to nobody. And even back in the 7th grade when the lady was saying, you don't have anger issues, she really should have told my parents, you have family issues. Y'all need to, you know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. But my advice, like, for men and women, because let's be real, I'm one of few, 30-year-olds who don't have kids. Almost all my friends have children. And to think about what I've seen kids go through and how they end up being left alone in the world, like without parents.
Right.
When they didn't have to be that way, it's not like their parent died from natural causes. Somebody taking their life, removing them from their kids' life forever. We got to protect these children. But it starts with healthy boundaries, healthy conversation. And we let people get lost in in unhealthy habits.
Right.
Like kids sitting in the room just by themselves, not talking, not sharing. No. We got to bring it back to when it was like not the adults in one room but it's kind of always been that way. But the interactive relationships is gonna avoid abuse or the unhealthy relationships.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for this conversation. I appreciate you for doing it with me.
I appreciate you for having me.
So, let's work to stop the toxic relationships and really work on honesty and vulnerability. And this is another episode of the WeakLEE Podcast. Tune in next week. And this is the WeakLEE Podcast. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tune in next week.